everybody, and welcome to Volume 19 of the One Piece Virgin Eggheads Book Club podcast. I am your captain of the measly crew, Mumkey D. Jones, joined as always by my vice captain. And I keep forgetting, do we even have like a One Piece-esque name for you yet? 19 volumes in, Eggy Rodriguez.
Well, I'm not sure if I've earned a nickname yet. I mean...
Are you a D? Do you feel like a D?
Virgin Rodriguez. I mean, you know, probably a lot of people look at me and they say, oh, look at that virgin, so... And that's in real life and not in One Piece.
So Eggy V Rodriguez, the middle initial of V for virgin?
Let's see, is there any culture or any dialect of language where D sounds like V? Like, I need some dessert. I don't think anybody sounds like that.
Maybe Transylvania. Maybe.
It could be.
They're freakish over there. We think that they're literally vampires, so they might be talking all fancy, but we need a One Piece name for Eggy. We also need somebody to volunteer to edit One Piece Abridged. We talked about it on the stream and nobody popped up, but you know, if me and Eggy potentially write up a script and voice the characters, would anybody want to make it an abridged, 5-minute video for us? I think we could do each arc in about 5 to 8 minutes, right?
Here I'm going, Django. You want to edit One Piece Abridged? You want to edit One Piece Abridged?
I hope it works on you just like it does for Django, then you'll do it, Eggy. Great idea. Did it work?
Yeah, I got my pirated Vegas from 2010 that I've been using ever since, just like I've been using the same version of Audacity, so
Good enough. Good enough. I've been using Cyberlink Power Director as a professional, if you're listening, I'm using some air quotes, YouTuber for 10 years. So you could use anything, it doesn't matter. As long as your video comes out, that's
all
the real
about the
struggle.
message, okay? The message in the medium, and however you make it together, as long as you're getting your message through, folks.
So I guess for now, Eggy does not have a big D energy in terms of One Piece. He's Eggy V Rodriguez for now. We'll see if he can lose his virginity on the Virgin Mary, the name of our ship.
And when them quarters are a-rockin', don't come a-knockin'. Yeah, I don't know, I rock the ship that much, but I'm a big boy, so either way.
I don't know if I mentioned, we are covering chapters 167 through 176, and Eggy, from this volume 19, I'm dying to know, and we're both going to do it. Did I forget to do my own last time? I don't remember. We're both going to do what is top of mind from this volume. Eggy as the Virgin, take it away.
Well, when I really thought about it, first, I'm really looking at just the bigger picture, I think. But when I really sat to think down about it, there is something that happens in this volume that has been referenced. It's been a running thread, and finally the bow has been tied on this volume. A running thread about Mr. Monkey D. Luffy, and we have it here. That is him looking at the banana gator and saying, hey, look at that banana.
That's true. Yeah, I spoiled that joke maybe 10 volumes ago, and we finally got to it.
So, with everything being said, obviously my top of mind is that they're in a casino, and once I started reading through the chapter, I had to pause to go start gambling on the internet because it's too accessible nowadays, and my YouTube For You page is full of anti-gambling videos now. The YouTubers are helping me out.
But if I recall, you're only gambling with house money that they give you to entice a gambling addict to play with their money and then start putting in their own. But you only play with theirs because they give you free shit every day. And if these screenshots are not doctored, it looks like you're making like more money than I do in a live stream just playing fucking games they pay you to play.
That's true. It's all about the place, and and to be honest,
how much are you making in these? Have you said online yet how much you're making from free gambling on your phone?
I haven't checked, but I'm sure it's probably...
It's hundreds of dollars! Hundreds! This is fucking crazy! Like, Crocodile, what are you doing trying to take over Alabasta? Just get a phone. Endless riches await. Who needs the One Piece? I need several pieces of money.
I've been trying to win the Stampede Fury $1 million jackpot. It hasn't happened yet, folks, but any day now, I'm sure. Anyways, but don't gamble, just like what Moist Critical tells you. Hey, man, you better not gamble. It's really bad for you.
Only gamble with house money if you can somehow get it. Like, if you stay at a hotel, sometimes they'll email you and say, here's 20 free bucks. Okay.
Yeah. And I
guess I'll go to the casino for 10 minutes and lose it.
Yeah, being a member of like 16 online casinos, you get like at least 20, 30 cents from each day. So, I've been hitting, but that's, yeah. But
from
still,
One Piece, what about the casino is top of mind for you? Other than we did answer we questioned would Nami as a lover of money like the concept of a casino, and we had that answered. Her eyes like turned into berry signs, I think, like dollar signs.
I was like, how did Oda predict Bitcoin? Her eyes turned into Bitcoin symbols.
Oh, is that what it looks like?
It's like bees with a line through it. It looks just like, I didn't have the Bitcoin symbol right next to me, but that was the first thing that came to mind for me. But in all seriousness, this whole chapter, it's very suspenseful. I felt similar energies to Syrup Village, the march of Kuro, the approach of Kuro. This is the approach. Well, really, we get the whole setup of the Baroque works instigating this sort of civil conflict, but it's all suspense based around that, and and towards the end, not to get right into the last panel actually of the last chapter.
That's what my top of mind is going to be, so we'll get to it.
But what we've been waiting for, I thought that this volume, this was maybe how I was going to start out, but the last panel essentially of the last chapter here is Crocodile's hook in the sand coming through and grabbing Vivi. And then Luffy takes off right after Vivi to try and help her out while everybody's still.
He swaps places with her. He throws her out of the hook. She's back on the crab with everybody else, and it's just Luffy going back to face Crocodile and Miss All Sunday 1-on-2.
I might have misread that. I thought he was like.
And it is just one brief panel, so. Yeah. So that's how you could miss a little detail like that, but. I want to talk about that as my top of mind. If we've covered yours,
you have the floor, my good sir.
What I like about this volume as its own book, okay, it might be a piece in a bigger story, but it is its own book, and this one wants to build up the impossibly supreme powers of both Crocodile and Miss All Sunday, and they're both made to be basically unbeatable, immortal gods. Like, Miss All Sunday is going up against a man who can fucking fly, like Ultimate Falcon Man. He would have the ultimate range in any attack. But no, it turns out she could sprout her body parts anywhere she wants and just break his spine from afar. Like, how... Luffy against that person alone would be bad enough, but they're both there for this fight, if this final panel is to be believed. And then, of course, Crocodile, when Vivi runs in, the first thing she does is go for the head. Fucking, Thor and Thanos take some notes. She obliterates his head into sand, and then we see you can't hurt him. There's nothing you could do to hurt this man. He just turns into sand, and then the sand appears behind you. Just like how Miss All Sunday can appear behind you and break your spine, he can basically just appear behind you too. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? And Luffy's just made of rubber. That's all he is. He's just made of rubber. Up against these two, this might be the most hype, tense, cliffhanger of all of the volumes. I don't know if I can think of one that it's more almost dreadful. And like, Luffy is not going to die here, but how the fuck is he going to win?
Well, and I think, too, I think Oda knew this, or maybe I think up to this point, I just say that because the way that beyond that panel of Luffy going towards Crocodile, it has like this big, like, coming in volume 20, to be continued. And then at the bottom of chapter 176, it has like this big sort of like diagram on the bottom there. So it feels a bit more... like, this is what you've been waiting for. We know you're waiting for it, and it's going to satisfy. It's going to hit every bit of your desires, we promise. Yeah, coming up, boom, 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 boom. And I just don't know if I remember even beyond everything else, but sort of that packaging on the end of a volume. I think that Oda was knowing, yeah, we're getting it, babe. We're getting into it.
So on his to be continued little blurb, he does not have a panel like from the fight with Crocodile. He doesn't spoil any of that, because I don't remember looking at that.
I don't think that he did. Well,
it just shows like all the different factions and where they're going.
That's correct. I guess double check that real quick, maybe. Wow.
Yeah, 176.
Just because I do suppose, yes, we have had before. There were volume or
one of them. It shows the spoiler of him beating Kuro. It shows the panel. Remember that bullshit? So I'm glad they're not doing that here.
Yes, what we've got here is nothing that we haven't seen before. It's got the map of Alabasta here at the bottom of 176.
So he's being a little more shy about what's to come, because he knows you're going to buy the next one if you read this one. You don't need to be teased. Like, the whole fucking volume was the tease.
Yeah, so we just have the most intense thing here is just the panel we've already seen of Crocodile coming up from behind to grab Vivi, which I believe happened while they were still inside the Rain Base casino. So, if I remember correctly. So, yes, there's no spoilers. We have no idea what's about to happen. But here, I mean, once again, I might be going a little bit too far. But if I had to guess...
Yeah, I want those predictions. Of course.
I mean, so Mr. Crocodile, he's an all Sandman. Mr. Sandman.
Bring me a dream. That too.
Give me that jackpot. I need that dough. Anyway. Listen, when I think about sand and how you take it down, I'm thinking like submerged in water, really. And we're at the point here now where the dance powder is probably coming out of play because the civil conflict is being instigated. I don't think they would really necessarily need a reason to continue having it do whatever it does to maintain this drought. So maybe we're going to have some more moisture coming into the atmosphere. Maybe there'll be some sort of like the buildup of moisture that's been taken away from the dance powder. Maybe it's going to come in a big downpour. But I'm thinking sand, when you throw it up, it's all over the place. It's just flying around like how Mr. Crocodile uses it. But underwater, I mean, it's just there. It's all submerged. It's kept down. It's compacted. So I think we need to keep Mr. Crocodile in the water tank. When it comes to Miss All Sunday, not quite so much.
Can you break the spine of a rubber man? Like, oh, you bended me in half. Who gives a fuck?
I'm thinking just probably gotta have to lock her up in one of those sea prism cages because...
Well, I don't know if he can grab that.
I guess the thing maybe like, yeah, put her inside like a cement or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure if she's cognitively functioning, that's going to be able to give her the power to sprout anywhere. So how could you can't really restrain her in the way that I suspect maybe Mr. Crocodile could be restrained, although maybe that's just silly. Maybe you could just evaporate all the water.
Oh, and we didn't even mention, but so is it this volume that reveals the secret of how she stole Luffy's hat when she appeared on the ship in Whiskey Peak? Did we ever resolve that conversation with this information? Does that all make sense now?
That she would, I guess...
She's like sprouted a hand on his back and threw the hat to herself, pretty much? Because we were thinking it was some sort of telekinetic power at that time, which, you know, kind of, I guess, if she's thinking about making it sprout.
Right, yeah, that's pretty true. I don't think that we observed visibly any limbs in that particular chapter.
We did not.
So it makes sense what she was able to do. Yeah, that it wasn't just a psychic force. It was a physical force done through sort of a mental preparation. So it makes sense. We didn't really get the full picture to deduce that ourselves before this devil fruit information was given to us now. But
and on the question of cliffhangers, I have a pitch for you, Aggie. In the chapter when we see Pell, the Flying Falcon Man, try to save Vivi from Miss All Sunday, and then, oh my god, you're fucking me up. Before it's really revealed what her power is and what she's doing, we see this incredible panel of what looks like her entire arm going through Vivi's torso. A killer blow. And I'm thinking, would it have been better if that's how a chapter ended, with that panel? Because within the same chapter, it's revealed, oh, no, she's okay. She's just sprouting a limb on her back. I'm thinking, what if we didn't find that out and we got to spend, the kids in Japan in 1999 got to spend a week thinking Vivi had been killed. Would that have been so terrible, or is that too much? Is that why he had to reveal the truth in the same chapter?
I
wonder if the anime at least had the balls. I don't know.
Because, I mean, it definitely could have been a chapter, and I don't know if it would have caused, like, turmoil among the fan base, or it would have caused it, like how, the Pokemon Porygon episode had everybody seizing. Would this cause some horrible, great panic, some War of the Worlds kind of stuff, War of the VVs, and everybody's going crazy? You're kind of stumping me. I'm not gonna lie. It's because it seems so grand, and then it's like, but it could have been, and it doesn't feel like so. It didn't feel to me like such a letdown or such
like a cop out.
Like a cop out. It kind of made sense because it's just like, yeah, I mean,
that's what the power is, and
we didn't see the hand.
He played with our lack of information, and I appreciate that.
If it sprouted and, like, made an obvious, like, physical contact and impact or something, that's one thing. But I guess to have it sprout, it could be like
we saw blood.
Yeah, but if it's not lasting wound, it like instantly sutures when the summon limb is then replaced or displaced back with the natural. Might be well, I mean, I guess if that's the case, I mean, you could really just like spawn a bunch of arms like all throughout a person's body and like split them in half. This Miss All Sunday, she's freaky. She's a freaky freak.
She can sprout her eyes and her ears places to, spy on people if she needs to. What do you think of this power? Is this like one of the more unique anime powers, or have you seen something like this before?
I can't say that I have. I think this probably is. This kind of reminds me of like for some reason Morrowind, or like an Oblivion game, because back like when I played Morrowind as a kid and I learned how to spawn certain characters, you could just like fill a town with characters and it would like blow up the entire game, destroy everything. She's kind of got like the dupe glitch for limbs. Which, yeah, I don't know if I've really ever observed anything like that, but it reminds me of something I was going to say. I think I might have mentioned this when I was hanging out with you the other day, and I didn't mention it because we were going to save it for the podcast.
For the podcast, yeah. I was dying to know what that was. I'm glad we remembered to talk about that.
Well, I guess the word I was using wasn't right. What I basically meant to say is Miss All Sunday worries me if in the Rule 34 category. Because if a woman can summon like 100 hands, I think there's a lot that could happen. And I was like, I gotta make sure.
Just like Total Recall?
She could duplicate a lot of things, and probably, I'm sure it's been thought of. And I'm sure that, if Carrot, the female adult Carrot, is like the top, heartthrob of the One Piece fandom, I think Miss All Sunday has her place. Romantically engaging with a certain subsect of that fandom that I would rather never interact with. So obviously my mind is gutter adjacent to whoever even contemplated this, but I'll own that because I didn't look it up, nor will I ever intend to do so.
Well, let me take the heat off of you with an even more disgusting thought to put in people's minds about a group of people that Aggie perhaps doesn't want to spend too much time with. If Miss All Sunday wasn't so evil, maybe was on the side of good, she could use her power to help our transgender friends see if they actually want to go through with the surgery. Like, just graft her titties onto them, graft the pussy onto them. They can look in the mirror and actually see what they would look like with female body parts. Like, that's got to do a lot for whatever's going on in their brain. Then they could confirm or deny if they want to do it. Is that a great business plan?
Well, it's interesting when you were saying if she's on the side of good, the first thing that came to mind for me was like, oh my lord, what's she gonna do to the men in the crew? Hey,
she can just like grab their balls and squeeze them
just
from anywhere.
Straight up, like a whole implementation and like in the walls and the like their bedrooms or whatever. Like, Well, I'm calling it a night, guys. You know, me and the Miss All Sundays wall have to, you know.
I mean, do you think she's doing that shit with Crocodile?
Well, Miss All Sunday called more like Miss All some other day because Sunday is the Sabbath day. So she's more like all Friday night in the club bathroom at this
all
rate.
bed day. So you're saying you would hook up with Miss All Sunday? Is this a top tier waifu?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
100%.
Do you like the cowboy hat?
I've been playing a lot of this Red Dead Redemption lately. It has me right in my cowboy mode, although I gotta buy a cowboy hat off Amazon. Maybe I'll do that today. I've been meaning to do it, I promise. But I also need to buy a couple wireless meat thermometers for belated birthday presents. So it's probably the right time today to get it in before it gets any later, folks. But yes, I love cowgirls. And, you know, actually, I'm literally a cowboy, so it is what it is. I think that it's a match made in interdimensional manga heaven.
Does that conclude your prediction for how Luffy is going to fight these two?
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm stumped on Miss All Sunday, and I'm feeling like we have to, like, contain...
And back to your water theory, you know, the clouds spontaneously forming rain... You know, that's one idea. We've seen Luffy be saved by random weather before, and who knows how that happened. Is there any other water we could think of? Was there any other water in this volume? Anything? Did the old man give?
Oh, well, I suppose he was able to take water out of the sand.
Yeah. Yeah, Luffy's wearing it as a necklace in a little barrel. There's
a magical Yuban water.
And we see in the opening chapter, Luffy has become mature about the water now. In the previous volume, he was wasting it, spitting it out when people were yelling at him. Now he's saying, nobody can touch this. It's my special Yuba water, and he's taking it seriously because it was dug up and worked hard on by his new old man friend. So maybe the power of friendship water will be what it takes.
I will concede to the magical Yuba water, you know, especially there could be some sort of thing about it because when we get a flashback, it's, I think, maybe 172, 170. I think it's 172, but basically the flashback to thinking about, what's his name, Toto, when he's talking about, like, oh, I've lost some weight, but, you know, I had to get this water and I think
do you
it's
aspire to
like,
be him? Do you want to, like, just dig holes to lose all of your weight to become like a shriveled up old man?
I'll probably look like, if I lose weight, I'll probably look like that guy at like 36 years old because that's how it is when you're fat and you lose weight.
Go full Stanley Yelnats or whatever his name was.
You know, it would be nice to be able to fit in airplanes more easily. I'm not so fat that I can't fit into them, but, you know, I'm maxing out the non-extended seatbelt basically. So, you know, at least about 20 pounds would get me better off. But I did want to say
if
this.
You have
when
some
you
land that you want Aggie to dig holes in, hit us up in the comments, but go ahead.
And you also have to sign off the mineral rights, but we'll figure that out in...
and if we find oil, we get all the oil, yeah.
Well, you mentioned that Luffy's learned his lesson about wasting water. I do have to fact check you here that when him and Usopp get into Rain Base and they're at the bar guzzling next to Smoker and Tashigi, like, oh, what about those straw hats? They both turn and just give them a blast of a lifetime. Looks like a fire hydrant got hit with a sledgehammer.
But that wasn't the special Yuba water. That might have been grog for all we know. They're at the casino bar. You think they're serving nice, clean water? Although they do have a moat. Wasn't the moat full of water? There seems to be a lot of water here.
Yeah, and the whole underground banana gator enclosure.
Yeah, that's like so much. Jesus.
Hey, that's more. If there's one place that was going to have clean water, I'm sure they're getting a lot of money coming through that casino. Crocodile is spare no expense because all these people are going to, you know, make themselves extremely poor and enrich me. So just a little fact check there.
Okay, are we ready for some comments and some new members of the Measly crew? Now that we've done our top of mind segment.
Sounds good to me.
So we did a rematch, a live stream of us playing One Piece Grand Battle. Go check it out. Aggie may be slowly improving, and you know, maybe one day I'm gonna go 0-10 in one of these streams. Who could say? We did play a little bit of the PS4 game Burning Blood. Aggie, did you say you liked that one better? Because maybe we should start playing that one. and just avoid
I
these
would like to.
characters.
I'd like to give it a try. I felt that I think I'm getting better with my guard impacts. I think I basically had the exact same like KPD or whatever wins overall in versus battles when we replayed this last time, but I think I am getting better at my guard impact in grand battle. I just think that the PS4 one it was a little more. I felt like I was getting a better response for like my play style, but so maybe we'll give that a try with our unlocked or known characters here in the future.
Well, on the comment section of that gaming live stream, we got what I assume is some sort of sicko, Aggie. Very long, strange name. At Erase Mag Ad Iber E Keku Atan. This is this man's name. He left like 7 comments in a row about our gameplay, and I suspect he is planning on masturbating to a future gameplay stream of us. Now listen up and you'll find out why. He says, One Piece Grand Battle Rush, Nami versus Sanji, Nami versus Luffy, Nami versus Nami, request character. New comment. Please change costume Nami, cheerleader C versus Sanji, Luffy, Nami. New comment. My favorite costume, Nami cheerleader. New comment. Please use Nami, press box versus Sanji, Luffy, Nami. New comment. Please upload Nami versus Sanji, Luffy, Nami, One Piece Grand Battle Rush. New comment. Please upload. Do you think he wants to jerk off to Nami in a bikini costume fighting Sanji, who I assume will not fight back in whatever game?
Let's just figure out how to do a camera hack on it, like just remove the camera restriction and we just jump up and down in the stage for like 5 minutes in the cheerleader outfit, so we don't even have to fight. He's going to come in with like 30 comments. Yes, yes.
Well, some of the future games, Sanji will not attack female players, female characters, so maybe his fetish is he wants to see Nami beating the shit out of Sanji, who cannot even fight back at all. What kind of fetish is that in Japanese? Is there a special word like tsundere for that, where you beat him up?
Well, a woman, yeah, if she's beating up a guy, and if she's tsundere for him, that means basically she's like, oh, he's so charming, and he's so great. He's like, hey, what's up? And then she goes, because she like slaps him, and he's like, oh, what a stupid woman. Then she's like, oh.
But what if he's simping for it? Because Sanji, even if he's getting beat up, oh, Nami Swan, oh, I love you, oh, you hit so good, you know.
I think it's just called being a masochist.
I mean, Sanji's all kinds of freaky, so I guess it makes sense. Should we see who has joined our crew by becoming a $3 per month member of the Mumkey D. Jones YouTube channel?
Let's go. I'm ready for it.
Okay, let's give a designation on the crew to Mr. Love Machine.
Well, you know, when it comes to the Love Machine, I'm thinking we need more love, more positivity. We're out here on these seas, uncharted territory, the Grand Line, possibly in our future for the Measly crew. And I'm sure it's very taxing. It's easy to get down in the dumps or down in the galley or whatever, down in Davy Jones' locker. So the Love Machine is going to bring up our spirits and get us more optimized. That's what we need.
So what is that title then? The Spirit Enliftener?
He's the Love Machine. That's his title.
The
as far
Love
as
Machine is the Love Machine. Okay. What about the Grimpus and Simon Show? Wow.
Grimpus and Simon Show. When I think of Anne Simon, I'm thinking of Anne Sean, who's a puppet in a popular Sean and Saunders ventriloquism act that I'm quite fond of. So I think we do need some entertainment. We've got musicians and things going on. I think maybe a puppet show between Grimlock and, or what was his name? Grimpus?
Grimpus and Simon.
All right, Grimpus and Simon, and that sounds like a comedic duo as far as I'm concerned.
Now, can this also be because their role in the crew is of like the puppet comedian sort of guy, like the Jeff Dunham of the crew? But what if he can also use that in combat? And we'll have a crossover with Naruto where there's a puppeteer jutsu where basically the puppeteer can use his chakra strings to connect to his puppet, and it goes and fights for him, and he's doing all his jutsus and puppeteering finger shit, and he doesn't even have to fight. He just stands back while his puppet fights for him. Should Grimpus and Simon have a similar fighting technique?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think if you have the masterful abilities to be a professional ventriloquist and a professional puppeteer, I think that also you would have had the at least function to be able to do something like that. Maybe you would need to specialize, train that specialty, but I think you would have enough of a baseline ability to make that happen. So,
and have you made it to the puppeteer part of Naruto in your reading that you've been doing?
Well, it's been on hiatus for about 2 months, so not quite.
This is like asking Heartsy about his next YouTube video.
I will say...
How many episodes of this podcast ended with you plugging the Naruto podcast? I swear it happened like 5 times.
Well, it shouldn't have been more than like 2 or 3, it might have been 3 or 4 maybe. But I started doing it because I said I need to work on I want to sharpen my manga reviewing chops, but I think I've kind of naturally progressed enough comparatively to the beginning on this podcast that it wasn't
the idea that, life is boring, you need more shit to do, spend some of your free time reading another beloved epic series and reviewing it on Rumble, but what, are you just too busy making that big money on those apps and shit? No time for Naruto? Because diehard fans like me, we wanted to hear it.
Well, I probably do spend more time working and making money.
So cut that shit out, live in poverty, and make Naruto podcasts for free. That's what I'm trying to ask you.
2025, the first episode's still edited and everything. I just never uploaded it, so... recorded and edited. I just never uploaded because I wasn't ready at that time. I was okay, maybe.
Make it your annual Naruto review podcast released every New Year's Day, and release the one you have on New Year's Day. You don't even have to worry about it till 2026 now for Volume 2. See if you can remember what happened. Can you do that? Can you upload that to your Yolker 2 YouTube channel on New Year's Day? So the first thing I do in 2025 is listen to what you said about Naruto 3 months earlier.
Yes, I absolutely could do that. Okay. Absolutely, 100%.
I'll post a link in the description so you can subscribe to Eggy on Rumble and on YouTube. What about this guy joined the crew during our live stream battle? He is, I believe, your cousin or brother, Mr. Eric Rodriguez.
Oh, yes. Big E. See, because they call me E-Dub, which doesn't really add up with Eggy Rodriguez, but we're still going to go with that. But then Eric is Big E. So it's very much a Ace and Luffy dynamic. That's Big Bro right there. But just like Ace and Luffy, we're not here to go head to head. It's an iron sharpened iron dynamic. So he is there on the crew to basically, he's going to help me better myself as a vice captain, and I'm going to provide whatever ability I can to give him some further training and some further expertise. So just family matters type of deal, folks.
Is Eggy's brother or cousin officially? Brother?
Absolutely.
Okay. You said he's your ace. So Eggy's ace is your official title. Eggy's ace in the hole. Perfect.
That's right.
Much like the Meow Band brothers, when Eggy's, up against a strong opponent and he's in trouble, hey, I got my ace in the hole to pop out and help. Is it cheap? Who cares? There's no rules in pirate battles. You can go fucking 15-on-1. Anyway.
That's right. The Grand Line is a place of ruthlessness, folks. There's only one piece. That's not the two-piece, okay?
If you're going into a fight with Eggy expecting him to fight fair when your life is on the line, you're a fool. What about Flint and Steel Survival?
Well, it sounds like a survivalist expert. You never know when, in a certain time of need, maybe some sort of mold or bad wave might knock some supplies off to the bottom of the deep blue. And we don't like that. Sometimes we might be in those tough positions, or we might be off course. We need somebody to be that specialist, be able to get us those survival skills to make the most with the least. Sounds like the man for the job.
The survival specialist. And finally, Eggy, I already told you what I wanted this guy to be. Captain Bones, I declare, is a musician who can play any instrument, and he specializes in accompaniments, like piano, or maybe some violin, stuff like that.
I think you might be a blues type.
That's right.
What?
So welcome aboard, Captain Bones, but don't get your bones in a twist here. I'm the true captain. So change your username on YouTube or we're going to have problems. Am I right, Aggie?
Mm-hmm. When I think about good blues musicians, maybe it could be Rusty Bones.
Yeah. You don't really have to change it. But if you change it to Rusty Bones and you said, yeah, Aggie and Mumkey told me to do it, I mean, that's a better story than however the fuck you named it Captain Bones, I have to assume. But if you have a deep, dark backstory on how you got your username, let me know. Aggie, are you ready for, unless you have something that's second top of mind, now that we're going back into One Piece, but are you ready for my pitch about what the Alabasta arc actually is?
Well, I would like you to enlighten me, yes.
I say Alabasta is Oda's version of a James Bond movie, where James Bond teams up with a team of pirates to save the day. What do we know about Vivi? She's a spy on behalf of the Royal Kingdom. She's up against Crocodile, who is basically a Bond villain. He's got fucking giant aquarium full of crocodiles and alligators, whatever, banana gators. That is very James Bond villain coded. He's got this evil scheme to destroy beautiful United Kingdom, who, I mean, lots of history. They owned some desert-like places, the United Kingdom, so I could see James Bond trying to fight for Britain to retain control over perhaps any of that region. But we even have a James Bond villain choice that needs to be made, with Vivi being the James Bond of, you can leave now, Vivi, and go potentially save thousands of lives, or stay here and save your friends who are slowly being drowned in a cage as the water rises up, fucking James Bond movie style. Eggy, am I right? Is Oda writing a James Bond movie here?
Well, I would say your points of a royal spy, the sort of grandiose, very, I would say Crocodile is very confident compared to, like I said, the attention gave to me initially like a parallel to Kuro's approach to shore of like, oh, we got to get there,
and despite what Oda himself might say, I think Crocodile is smarter than Kuro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this plan actually makes sense. This is genius.
And I think that just his nature, all the way from leading the Baroque works, even the top-ranking members from behind the scenes with a camouflage, mysterious identity. He's got for his known identity, he's got his place in the Seven Warlords of the Sea. He really is just the heaviest hitter, I think, that we've seen, and he behaves like that. Even with Don Krieg, not to downplay his achievements, but almost you could say that the sort of ruthlessness that Krieg displays, he's almost launching an offensive just so he doesn't have to have any kind of... he's all like full force just to quell anything, because maybe if something built up against him that could cause an issue. It's like Crocodile plays it so smooth that he can have this forward-facing identity, and he can have this casino, he can have this public presence, and he has no concerns about being amongst people. Like, he's even chasing Chopper, aka Mr. Prince, through the streets, and he's not concerned. Like, he can turn around and just kind of dust himself off, and he's gonna still
he
be
catches
respected.
up to them and grabs Vivi like as they're escaping. So even when he gets distracted, he still like catches them, and Luffy has to kind of sacrifice himself or switch places. And when you're talking about Krieg, I just wanted to point out, or just to mention that he seems like the type who does not have an internal like voice, like a brain at all to think. You can imagine Crocodile being able to have three faces, more than like a two-face guy. Like he could, no matter who he's talking to, he's gonna play what he needs to play. Don Krieg as soon as he takes a bite of Sanji's food, he immediately attacks him. Like he's like a pit bull. He cannot resist. He can't think strategically. He could have taken over that ship if he didn't just start attacking them immediately. Wait a day or two for Luffy to leave for whatever reason to go stop Nami. Then he would have had it. So Crocodile is a whole new level. And when you think about the villains that we've had on the Grand Line so far, Wapol, oh my god. Like Mr. 3, I mean, what he did was kind of fun in like a Saturday morning cartoon way, but like fucking lame, and he's supposed to be super smart. Whiskey Peak, there wasn't even like a boss. You know, like it's been since Arlong that we got a true menacing, fearsome final boss. It's been so long, and Crocodile, I feel like, is the best villain so far, by far. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would agree. And with that being said, I think that looking back at last volume where I was anticipating that we'd have conflict, combat, getting right into it, the fact that we didn't this volume, I think also testifies or is a testament to the complexity in his character, because we did need this entire volume to sort of have the Straw Hats rival the Rain Base and to kind of piece by piece observe the espionage that's taking place between the Rebel and the Kingdom factions on account of the Baroque works meddling, and then Crocodile's way of, all right, you know, we've got this, the Unluckies have given us the information about the Straw Hats, so we know we've got them captured here. We're going to play this whole game about a key, and we're feeding it to the Crocodile, or to the Banana Gator, and this was never even the key
fake the whole time.
with.
Fucking bullshit. What a piece of shit.
But once again, I mean, you know, he's you could have somebody like with a Krieg-like mentality who's just like die, smash, die. He's playing this on so many levels that he's going to have them, you know, in his best set plans. He's going to have them really fuddling around, and he's going to be multiple steps ahead.
And he'll throw Vivi into like a trolley car conundrum, and then like have an evil laugh because he thinks it's funny. Like he's toying with these people almost like a god, because he's just so much stronger and smarter and outclasses them like at every level.
Yes, and I gotta say, I think, I don't know if I'm sure you knew, but I think in a previous volume where we mentioned that, you know, Sanji, we had like Zoro was kind of out of the way, and Drum, why do I want to say Drum Island? I don't think that's right.
That's close. Drum Kingdom, Drum Island,
Drum Kingdom, yeah. We did, you know, when Sanji was sort of out of the mix previously, and we kind of notated that, and then it turns out it was actually beneficial to keep him off of the Baroque Works radar. So that was sort of a foreshadowing back then that I would have had no idea would pay dividends coming forth in this volume.
Well, now that you brought it up, let's hear about Mr. Prince and all, you know, all of that, because yeah, it does pay off what was set up at Little Garden.
Well, yeah, it helps that, you know, Chopper was added to the crew after the Unluckies identified certain members of the Straw Hats. But yeah, Chopper, I also want to say...
Did Mr. 2 not copy Chopper? I don't remember. I thought he did. Because then he showed everybody what the people he copied looks like. But I thought he touched Chopper.
Well, I know they said that he was like their pet. And I suppose
yeah, they don't really take him seriously, I guess, because... he's an animal.
Yeah. When he's in his Mr. Prince facade, he's got himself all covered up in some of the robes. So yeah, that is, I think you are correct there. And Chopper, he gets his chance to prove himself as a fully fledged Straw Hat crew member. He's is able to outwit Crocodile with his form transformation, and from what we've seen so far, it seems awfully hard to do that, to outwit Mr. Crocodile. So
yeah, he's getting chased by probably the most powerful villain or character really that we've seen so far. So yeah, good for Chopper. But you don't have any thoughts on Sanji's interaction with Crocodile, because they're really building them up to be like these great antagonistic foes, even though they've never met.
Well, the reveal of the transponder snail
It's like a cell phone version now. It's like a tiny one with a smaller radar or whatever.
Yeah, call back to the interaction between them on Little Garden. So I thought that was cool. I mean, I guess, let's see. Yeah, how would I? what else can I say besides it was cool? I mean, it was refreshing because as I'm reading through it, I'm not thinking that. I'm really caught up in the moment as I'm going through and doing the reading. But then it's sort of like a relief, maybe. It's, put a smile on my face because the daunting presence of Crocodile is so overwhelming and it's so intense that to have
Vivi's
this
like
sort
going head to head with a bunch of banana gators and everybody's about to drown. So like we're at our lowest point for the crew. And once again, we've probably forgot that Sanji even exists because he keeps disappearing and fucking off for chapters at a time. Right. So it's like, oh yeah, that's right. We do have an ace in the hole, to use a phrase from earlier. Sanji could come save us. But when Sanji's gambit here is he pretends to get beaten up on the phone so that, or is that what happened? So that then they rush outside because he wants to get them out of there.
I think he actually does beat up the people that are outside. Right. They actually do get beaten. So he's communicating on the transponder snail, and then he pretends he gets beat up, and then he makes one of the grunts or the goons or whatever word you Zoomers don't want me to use.
He forces him to say some shit like, "Hey, I got him, Crocodile," and then Sanji knocks him out. But then I guess I don't remember why Crocodile's chasing Chopper. I guess he discovers that it was a lie outside and then starts chasing him. That's what happens.
Well, I think it was...
Because then Chopper beats some guys up and says, "Yeah, I'm Mr. Prince."
Let's see here. So I think, they might have struck... I think maybe Sanji, he might have had his identity is not known to Crocodile. I think that, some of the grunts or something out there are beat up, and when Crocodile comes out, he's like, "Oh, there he goes, Mr. Prince in the robes. Yeah, there he goes. He's going crazy. He's attacking people." And then that's what leads Crocodile off. He gets diverted, and he starts chasing him down that way, which then allows Sanji to enter and begin his rescue measures.
Now, what did you think of this? We talked about last week, and did you have a prediction? Would Mr. 3 survive falling down the trap hole and getting potentially destroyed and eaten by a banana gator? Did we have thoughts on if he would manage to get out of that one? Because he was all dehydrated, and who knows if he had any wax left, but evidently he did.
As I recall, I believe I suspected that he would not survive. But I'll say this much, in my defense, he got eaten by a banana gator. I mean, if Sanji hadn't delivered a devastating kick to cause Mr. Gator to heave, he did say, "Oh, I kept myself in the wax ball."
Yeah, he was in a wax ball, so he could have been shit out eventually, but he'd still be underwater most likely. So,
well, he was probably. I mean, he would have. Let's say he was in the stomach. Maybe the resistance of the stomach. The wax ball might have been resistant to stomach acid, but if it was moving into not sound all weird or anything, but I'm just saying if it go in the intestines, it might have been pressurized, might have been some crushing. I don't know.
If Zoro couldn't cut the wax, I don't like the banana gator's chances of breaking that ball. I'm just saying.
True, but also a weakened Mr. 3. He was important, so he might not have had a full power level. Anyhow, Mr. 3, he did survive. And he's coming out all grandiose, like he's the hottest thing to ever come out of a gator. He gets corrected appropriately, and he's able to be coerced into using his wax powers to form a key. That must be some tough wax, because I don't know if I could ever heard of any key that's made of wax that could work.
Of course, it's stuff we just said Zoro couldn't cut it, Aggie.
Yeah, but I mean, it should have still have like a residue. But anyway.
Did you think it was a fair solution to the problem of we don't have a real key? That this character could just form his finger into the shape of the keyhole, I guess?
Yeah, it wasn't like a wax saw. It just needed to be able to apply pressure to the mechanism in the lock. So I think, I'm okay with it.
Creative use of the powers. The wax man can open any lock, evidently. I wouldn't have thought about that before reading this. That's pretty cool. And then there is an error, and if we read the same online version, It is there when Crocodile comes back and finds that they have all escaped his trap. And we see Mr. 3 with a sign on him that says, get fucked, I'm Mr. Prince, or whatever the hell it said. Can you identify the error?
I thought it said something about, screw your crap bananas or something. I guess, if I can get a...
If you can find the panel in chapter 176, I believe, towards... is it in...
Nope, 175.
Okay, my bad.
I think I see what you mean here. Yes. See you later, crap gator. Sincerely, Mr. Prince.
Yeah. So what's the error in the panel?
Well, my thoughts are that, excuse me, is Crocodile would understand that Mr. Prince was the guy in the robes and he was running off, but this would have had to have been penned by Sanji or one of the.
Well, that's just an ultra fuck you. Like, oh, I super tricked you, motherfucker. You thought I was out there. The error is, and maybe you're looking at a fixed version because they did change this image.
Might be also the perspective preceding that. It looks like Mr. 3 is like 30 feet long, like the size of the cage, the gates, and then like this trap door there. All seems a bit skewed in perspective. I'll say that much, but. Besides that, I guess, I'm not sure.
In the panel you're looking at, is he floating on the water?
Well, it does appear that he is, his waist is below.
Devil fruit user floating in water. Shouldn't he be sinking? He should be at the bottom of the room.
Yeah, it looks like could be some rubble under him.
That's how he fixed it. He drew in that he's floating on top of something in updated versions.
Okay, yeah, because in this panel, the panel that's showing it's closed in on the sign, there's nothing visible beneath him, but that same panel preceding that I mentioned where the perspective seems awfully wonky, it does look like there's some sort of elevated rubble, mostly observable below the waist, which makes less sense for what we're seeing here, but that's about the best guess I have. But
maybe I'm just making shit up, but I distinctly remember seeing that was an error that got fixed. But who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a point to be made there. He should be sinking. So that's good.
Are we satisfied with our Mr. Prince discussion? Because I'm ready to talk about our boy Smoker. Because Luffy makes a very dramatic choice regarding Smoker. What do you think of this? He tells Zoro as the room's being flooded completely to save Smoker's life, who would otherwise drown and sink like a stone.
Yes, that is very important. But before we do, I want to make one note on something that is significantly less important and is just kind of a funny meme. Is
it that he could tell which banana gator it was by its growl? He could recognize the sound of the growl? Because I wrote that down in my notes.
Hey, it isn't, but I would believe that he can't be Mr. Smoker. He can't be that top commander man without having some extra special abilities.
A keen ear for detail, one truth prevails.
That's right.
But what was your point? That's very important, you said.
Well, when we go back towards the beginning of the volume here, where King Cobra is speaking to his two second-in-commands, Pell and was it like Chaka or something like that. Anyway,
hey, Tubes, I think our army should only fight defensively, Tubes. The palace is for the people.
Pell is known as the Falcon. Chaka, I think is his name, is known as the Jackal. And then we obviously have King Cobra. All three, the Jackal, the Falcon, and the King Cobra, are all natural predators of the mongoose. Who, one of my good friends, his name is Josh Saunders. Oh, he really hates those mongooses. So yep. I thought that, who's to say, maybe in the future, maybe there's going to be Sir Mongoose that the Alabasta trio, the great mongoose attackers, will team up against. But
what is the relation between crocodiles? Would you say flamingo? Is that, or is it swans? Is it swans that Mr. 2 has on him? Like swans, crocodiles, and cobras. Like, do crocodiles eat king cobras? Are they enemies in the wild? Do they even see each other?
I don't think so. I think flamingos and crocodiles possibly might share a habitat, like down at
Rusty's house. Yeah, we saw those. We sure did. I took a picture with a baby crocodile right behind me. Good times.
Still saved in my Snapchat, and that Sir Crocodile could lunged out at you just like he lunged out at.
I don't think I looked that tasty, to be honest. Not much meat on these bones, muscle or fat.
All right, but yes, Smoker. Oh my goodness, how many volumes was that? Volume 10 was Logtown.
10 or 11.
So we're thinking back then. Oh my goodness, here comes the fight. Even now. It's not what we thought it was, folks. The relationship between the Straw Hats and Smoker becomes even deeper and more complex, and not in a combat way.
Yeah, he gets to sit in and listen to Crocodile's epic Bond villain speech, and Luffy is so determined to kick Crocodile's ass, which has got to be very confusing when, last volume, Smoker was thinking that he was working potentially, Luffy was working with all the bad things that were happening. So the fact that they kind of have now a shared enemy is probably on his mind. And then Luffy's mercy to literally save his life. We've seen from Mr. 2, if you save a dude's life who's drowning, who has a devil fruit, like they will perhaps be extremely grateful and want to be lifelong friends with you and show off their cool superpower. And all these things culminate in Smoker having some incredible character development and change in this guy whose name is literally Chaser. My only motivation is I want to chase down Straw Hat Luffy. Says, fuck it. I'm letting you go. What'd you think of this, Aggie?
Well, I have to say, I could understand it. For when Zoro saves him, he's very taken aback, and he says, it's captain orders, it would be insubordination to go against my captain.
He very much did not want to do it. So I think it's great that he obeyed Luffy and went against his own instincts hardcore. And it was like such a heat of the moment thing. Like, there's only 2 seconds before we're all underwater. Like, immediately has to obey.
I guess what maybe was a little more surprising to me is the fact that basically one of Smoker's Marines, one of his staff, does observe him basically letting the Straw Hats go. And he's like, oh, well, what's up with that? And he's like, hey, I don't care. We're getting reinforcements. We got something bigger to do. But, just not to, I guess I haven't seen him be deceitful at all in any capacity. He was the guy who, when the child spilled her ice cream on him, he just gave her some money to get the new ice cream. I felt, if he had a mind to, like some of the other Marines we've said, he could be like, they must have used some kind of trickery on me or something. Yeah, we're gonna go get him, but we'll definitely be getting him. But first, we gotta, prepare ourselves or get everybody together. We'll figure something out or whatever. Just kind of something to look good or put up a good image while he knows, the back of his mind, we're gonna kind of play this a little differently. But he was really none of that, just being very straightforward with it. Like, I don't care what anybody, I don't care what the top brass says. We're doing it like this, and but let's start getting these reinforcements together.
Are you familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I don't think I've watched a single episode of the entire series in my life.
Okay, well, then I guess I don't really need to bring this up, but I occasionally suggest that by the end of the series, Smoker might have a Zuko-esque arc, which I think makes perfect sense to me, but people get very upset for some reason. Like, no, Avatar is so sacred. Zuko's the greatest character ever. You can't compare the Smoker to him. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a little similar to me, but thankfully Eggy doesn't know what I'm talking about, so he can't get offended by it. Let me know how mad you guys are down in the comments below. What are we talking about, Eggy? What are we on right now?
Speaking on Zoro saving Smoker, and then Smoker allowing the Straw Hats to move on to intercept Crocodile, or at least give chase.
Yeah, do you think Smoker will get, because like you said, one of his men observed this happen, do you think he will get in trouble with his superior? Will he get demoted? Much like in the cover story with Django, we see Full Body gets demoted despite their successful court bid. We'll get to that in a second, I assume. But what will be the punishment for Smoker here for letting these pirates go, if anything?
Well, I can definitely see something happening because there's no doubt about it. Luffy is a wanted man. He's got this large bounty, not as large as Crocodile, as I recall. Although,
But Crocodile doesn't, as a...
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
Shichibukai or a Seven Warlord, they froze his bounty, but I think they told us it was like 80 million, something like that.
Right. So yeah, I suppose when I think about it that way, the fact that he does have that Seven Warlord tie, he's basically getting the government cut in probably on some of his gambling profits. Yeah, they might. I could see him being reprimanded to some degree, and maybe that will give him some desire to turn his focus in the future on whatever higher up and more corrupt government official was misleading him, because as I mentioned, we've seen him to seem to have a very golden streak as far as decency and being respectful, being true and honest. So I definitely could see it because, yeah, I think it would make sense. I could also see it being sensible that, this is all going on and we're going to receive a pardon and everything's all hunky-dory. But with how things have, money makes the world go around, and we've seen definitely corrupt officials running around plentifully out here in these dangerous waters.
And if Smoker's true goal is to stop Crocodile, and maybe he's letting Luffy go because he sees that they have the same goal and we need as many men on this as we can, he even calls in for reinforcements from outside of Alabasta to come stop this. Let's say hypothetically, the next volume of Alabasta, Luffy's fighting Crocodile. Let's say he wins. Crocodile is basically a higher rank in the military than Smoker. He's one of the 7 pirate warlords who works directly for the government, and he's certainly more powerful than Smoker, I have to imagine. I don't know, smoke versus sand. I don't see Smoker sucking the moisture out of people and shriveling them up into mummies and stuff, I guess. But if Luffy beats up the hero of Alabasta who works for the government, and Smoker's, he's right here in Rain Base, so he could assumedly arrest the corpse of Crocodile. Are the higher-ups going to be okay with this? They don't know any of these evil plans. Are they going to take Smoker's word for it? This is the hero of Alabasta getting beaten up by a pirate that Smoker let go. And now Smoker's saying, yeah, Crocodile needs to be locked up in prison. Is anybody going to go for this? Is he doomed here?
I guess what comes to mind for me for a possible settling of that, it reminds me of something that we recently watched, an anime called Golden Boy, where there's a scene where... well, not quite.
Which one?
There's a scene on a bridge where our protagonist is confronting a bad man, and the party who's being affected by this bad man is sort of out of sight. Neither of the men knows that she's around, but she overhears where he's like, "Oh, I already told you, I got my plans worked out. I'm going to control that girl, and I'm going to get her family's fortune, and there's nothing you're going to do to stop me." Maybe we got these transponder snails around. Maybe there's, I know in the SBS, there's a talk of a black transponder snail that's it's like a bug, like a wiretap almost. So maybe that the reason why...
You think that the cop is wearing a body cam?
Essentially, in a way, there could be something of the black transponder snail being something of a body camera, something that's being able to transpond to the world government office, or maybe King Cobra's overhearing it, or whoever needs to hear it for this to make sense, for this to be determined to be legitimate. I'm just saying, it's interesting that it's introduced in SBS in this volume, that we're made aware of it in that way. And
is it also interesting that in this very volume, like I said, Full Body gets demoted in the military for being friends with a pirate? Is that a coincidence? Goda?
I guess that didn't come to mind for me immediately, but I think there's a case
fun
to be
little
made there.
Juxtapositions with what the characters are up to. Are we ready to talk about the cover story now that we're an hour in?
I think so, yes.
I'll let you take it away. Yeah, this is our last moments with Django for who knows how long.
Yeah, so we had previously Django. They had the dance competition. The world was funkalicious. Django was found out, but he got away. Full Body gave him this sort of blank expression stare, not really an angry stare, but then Full Body had to deal with some pirates. Django came back, helped him clean that up, but it led to Django being arrested. Listen, as many people have said throughout history, just doing my job. Full Body had to do what he had to do, but he didn't really agree with it. He wanted to give some protests, which he did. Protest leads to the funkiest court battle since Eggy's Jury Duty. Make sure you go look that up on the Simi and Jimmy Treehouse channel. That one's probably the second funkiest of all time.
Wait, as a juror, did you start dancing so funky that every single person in the courtroom had to feel the groove and join in?
That's why it's the second funkiest of all time.
Fuck.
This, we got very close. Believe me, I tried. I really did.
Tried.
They weren't really feeling that. It said it was some kind of contempt or something. I'm like, how could I be contemptful when I'm groovy and funking it up? This is like the opposite of contempt as far as I'm concerned. But anyway,
but they did have contempt for Full Body. Why does he get demoted for this? They have a successful disco dance to prove his innocence and save his life from. To save Django's life from being slaughtered by the Marines. Why is Full Body being punished for this?
I don't think there really is a.
There's no explanation or anything. He just gets demoted. And now he's like a chore boy, like Kobe was at the beginning.
I mean, to be honest, in the this was his 172 where they're chore boying it up. I mean, this is the funkiest chore boy of all time. I mean, they're literally they're just.
Yeah, ultimately
doing a synchronized dance with everybody.
I see it as a happy ending because when we're introduced to Full Body and he's in a position of power, this power has gone to his head. He's a huge asshole. He's opening fire on Luffy and the gang. He's being a big dickhead on his date. In the restaurant, he's being mean to Sanji and trying to trick them with wine to make himself seem smarter than he really is. So now for him to dedicate his life to this friendship that is based on something soulful while he's been such a soulless man this whole time, I think he's in a better place. He's probably happier. He's higher on Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a lowest ranking Marine because now he's going to be chore boys with Django, much like Helmeppo and Kobe were. And we even see them. They get a little cameo, them and Garp. Did you notice that in the background?
Well, I don't think that I did actually, because it was just, I do see it there now, but the groove was just so prominent, and also, Helmeppo, right? He looks like he's doing the virgin walk, to the utmost. I don't think the bowl cut's helping him there. He looks straight
maybe
up.
Maybe he didn't recognize him.
Straight up chud posture. Yeah, if it had been more of a front-facing shot, he's just looking pretty tough from that angle. He's kind of got the giraffe neck going on, definitely comparatively to
but you recognize Garp there, don't you?
Yeah,
he's got his dog head on, I think.
Have you ever seen the green line meme? You ever heard about that before?
About standing up straight, which I never do.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I'm the curved line, I think.
This is definitely a green line moment. Kobe's posture is looking pretty good. He might be a little bit actually with a tilting backwards. Garp is straight as an arrow, and Helmeppo is literally the virgin walk. So, you know what? Pretty much about right, to be quite sincerely honest.
So do you think this is building up to, we're going to have a confrontation where a group of Marines that we've seen in cover stories and that we now have, established, are they going to be going up against characters, pirates that we know and love? Are we going to get Kobe versus Luffy and Django's back to give Usopp some trouble and all that? Is that what they're building to with all these Marine characters? And are you surprised that Django decided to become a Marine to be with his friend? We didn't even fucking talk about that. That's kind of crazy too.
Well, I'm glad they let him keep his hat. It looks pretty cool. One last thing about the demotion and the still seeming to be joyful. Listen, I've been a manager at stores before. Nobody wants to be a manager. It's not worth it. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe if you want to try and work your way up from manager to the head of the Marines. I was never that ambitious, and being just a low-level manager is really, truly more of a pain than a benefit as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, I guess maybe Django is kind of separated. What was he floating around in the dinghy? I mean, what else does he really have going on? Is he going to just kind of go from place to place if he's able to sort of he got acquitted? He's got options now. He's not necessarily a man on the run. Yeah, I mean, and he's got a friend in the Marines.
And despite all the horrible things he did with Kuro, he was still a man of his word when he said, I promise if you do this, I will not harm those children. We talked about that. So there was like a little seed of good inside of him. So maybe he could be a worthwhile Marine in the future and not be like a corrupt dickhead Marine.
I do want to also say that the idea that all of the previous Marines like Kobe and Django would come to some sort of conflict with the Straw Hats as Marines, I think that would be very cool. I would like to, if they don't, hey, they're out there, they're living their lives, they're doing good, they don't have to fight anybody right now, so good for them. But if it did happen, I would find it entertaining, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would be down to clown. Maybe we can... Actually, I don't think Kobe is even a playable character in the PS4 game, so maybe we can't bring it to be. I don't know why, because Kobe does a lot of shit. But enough of Kobe's spoilers. At least we got to see him for one panel.
That's right.
Let's talk about... They really want us to know King Cobra, he's a good guy. I don't want to go to war with the people. Let the people have the throne in the castle. It's theirs anyway. My job as the king is to provide for them. I'm the greatest, most gracious. This is the idealized king of all time. So did you, Aggie, as the reader, or even one solitary second, fall for the Mr. 2 fraud when he disguises himself as the king? Did you think for 1 second this was happening?
For 1 second, probably. I mean, probably not much more than that because it was just so absolutely jarring and just so completely out of character. But at the same time, I mean, when he's saying that sort of thing, like, oh, let the people have the kingdom. I mean, it's a good, if maybe that's a feel-good statement, but at the end of the day, I feel like the people, he's a fine ruler. It's just the sabotage that's going on is what is disrupting his kingdom. So it's not that his leadership needs to be given up because it's going to just be usurped immediately by somebody. It's just a power vacuum that's going to lead to
be
something else going in. Exactly. So,
yeah, I'm not trying to make King Cobra look bad. I'm just saying, like, the way Oda wrote this, it's like, okay, here's a chapter where we prove he's the patron saint or whatever, like the most kindly king. And then I'll try to trick you a few chapters later with him kicking a child in the face and saying, not Ohano, this corrupt city will be burnt to the ground. And of course, those have to be Baroque Works people disguised as army guards or whatever. But, if I'm a citizen, how do I not fall for this? Like, what a great plan in a world where you have a magic power that you can disguise as somebody.
Exactly. There is almost absolutely no defense, even if you had both of them side by side in real life and like, no, he's him, no, he's him. I mean, the only thing you can do basically is hit him with the sea gem stick to,
or
cancel him out.
Wrap some gauze around your arm, because I guess that does something.
Right.
Well, we do see Karu arrives to the castle or whatever the fuck, and he gives the note to King Cobra, and he finds out the truth about Crocodile, and they try to take off his bandage, and he freaks the fuck out. So, still kind of mysterious, They just put some tape on to prove that they're not Mr. 2 somehow. Whatever that means, Iggy. Were you glad to see Karu made it in one piece, no pun intended?
Yeah, it was a great way to start the volume off when it's got that nice wide panel of him guzzling the water, like in such great relief. I immediately stood up and started clapping, as I tend to do. I'm glad, because you never know. I mean, everything is in such a disarray right here. We're basically at presumably the peak of disruption throughout the nation. We are really, all the armies are marching towards each other for this great conflict.
And it just so happens, as this is happening, and the king has ultimately totally betrayed the people, a giant ship full of weapons crashes into the harbor. So now the rebel army that was trying to acquire enough weapons before they attacked, suddenly they have all they need. And yeah, they're on the move. Rebels are moving north to attack the king. King's potentially moving to fight Crocodile. Eggy, what do you want to say? You look like you're ready to say something.
Well, I hate to be that guy, but I feel like I heard about maybe once upon a time in real life, there was sort of an area in this world that was a little bit conflicted and possibly due for maybe some sort of riot, and that there was pallets of bricks that were just randomly appearing on street corners.
Who left those bricks there, Eggy? Was it Crocodile?
Well, hey, what is a brick? But it's just compressed sand. I'm thinking, folks. Also, I've heard about this guy named David Hickey. I think he says crocodiles rule the universe or something. So,
is that Earl Hickey's dad?
We're running it back right now. I think we talked about this multiple volumes ago. Oda's unknown familial connections. What does he know?
They're known. I looked up. His grandpa was in the Japanese military. You know, figure out the timeline yourself, folks. Like, Luffy worships his grandpa. Oda says, I am Luffy. Fucking figure it out. Sometimes your grandpa you love could work for an evil empire. It happens.
And Oda, your father flew back from Argentina. It's for your family? What was that about now?
Well, they're shooting the One Piece live action in South Africa. Did any Nazis go hide there, do you know? Because there's a lot of white people in South Africa.
Interestingly enough, I don't know about South Africa, but I know the Congolese War, there were many mercenaries that came there that were ex-German military that were just basically looking for something to do, and they were paid contract mercenaries to help fight for the Congolese in that conflict. So,
these mercenaries were from which country, did you say? These are Africans, or did you say they were German?
Germany. Yeah, so from Germany, and these were ex-World War II German soldiers that went to fight for the Congolese in the 1960s.
What if I told you this is adapted into One Piece? Like that's dead on something that's going on. Remember when I told you that there's an arc based on Disney movies? Like,
yes.
Like there's German mercenaries that were former parts of a Nazi regime in that arc. I swear to God, like, this is in One Piece, dude. Spoiler alert, wait till we get to chapter 850 or so, but yeah, I think Oda's plugged in. Like, when we get to what One Piece is actually about, it's going to be undeniable for a man with our knowledge, Eggy. We've seen Thank You, Dr. Fauci. We know how fucking evil and corrupt the system is. And so does Oda, I'm telling you. And not even in an anti-Semitic way, but like legit, he knows about some corrupt, horrible people running the world, and he's writing a story about it, goddammit.
Well, that is very interesting.
Do we have any other thoughts from this volume? Because I think we covered all the important stuff.
Yeah, I think we did. It's just a it's a very good volume, very intense, very suspenseful. But in the larger picture, this is just really fulfilling the top tier build up before our grand, well, which is exactly what I said last week, but now this time, okay, really building up to our huge, massive, grand battle, if you will, no pun intended.
And now that we're, I think, well over 20 chapters into Alabasta, I think it's fair to ask, where's this sort of going on the tier list so far? And obviously the ending and the rest of it will be important, but what are you feeling so far?
Well, I'm thinking this is really top tier, creme de la creme, because, I mean, even we have such beautiful animals as eyelashes, smug crab, Karu. So even, that's really the type, that's my 4.5 to 5-star gray area there, where like people like Momu and, really stuck with me. But we have wonderful animal companions. We have gambling. We have intrigue.
James Bond plot, best villain so far.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if we mentioned that, but I think James Bond always is at casinos and stuff too.
Yeah,
but that just plays into it as well.
I think it's totally intentional. Like, you might think I'm memeing somebody out there, but I'm dead serious, because there is an entire arc that is the plot of Seven Samurai, where it's the same thing, but the samurai ask pirates to join in and help them. Like, that Oda fucking puts movie shit in. Like he has a giant statue of the Terminator right next to his desk where he draws the manga. So this dude's a movie fan, big time.
Yeah. So
we're leaning towards
without the
maybe
combat.
first S tier. Is that where we're leaning so far?
I think it's tracking for it, yeah, because unless the combat is very poor, like if it's a real letdown, which I highly doubt, the story and everything so far, just such context, such and we've been building up to this with Baroque Works. I believe, I can't remember which volume that was, that's 15, 16, I forget exactly.
Basically, since we met Vivi, which is like when we meet the whale. So like, since like chapter 102, we've been building this shit up.
So, because I remember commenting that, I'm like, oh, why does, I just switched over, now it's got, why does it say Baroque Works on the cover of the volume? I don't get that. So, really, in the overarching with the Baroque Works story, I mean, we're really at the pinnacle of that as far as I can tell or am concerned.
If Luffy's about to fight the boss, it's got to be pretty close to the pinnacle. Right. I mean, fuck.
So I think it's going to be undeniable that really no matter how you slice it, even if the combat leaves something to be desired, I think we have too much built up behind it. The momentum is so great and the intensity is so great. I think really it's going to push it up through into S tier regardless, is how I feel right now.
One other thing, I don't know if this was in this volume or last, or if we even mentioned it, but it is confirmed that Crocodile was sending the sandstorms to Yuba that destroyed the city and that the poor old man has to dig his way out of every night. Like, Crocodile's just doing that for fun, and he straight up says so.
Yeah, I think that was revealed that same where like Toto, like Vivi has like sort of this like shocked flashback where Toto's like, oh yeah, I lost some weight. I think it's right in that same series of panels that mentions it or reveals it.
And that's probably everything good from my notes. Do you have any other last minute predictions for next volume or the rest of Alabasta or really anything? Is Buggy gonna find his way here? Because Smoker did. Where the fuck's Buggy and Alvida?
Well, I think we're, and I only say this because I believe the, was it 173 or 174, the last Django cover story says in that final cover story, like Django's Dance Heaven finale or something like that. So we know we're going to be starting a new cover story. That would probably, maybe, I guess I wouldn't say that he's going to come to Narohama or whatever it's called, Nanohana, and meet up with Ace, who I believe, according to the end of 176, it still had Ace's picture over Nanohana. I believe.
No, I think he's fucked off by now. I don't think he's still in Alabasta. I don't know why he would be in the diagram for 176. That'd be the most insane thing of all time if that was true. I think he's left.
Well, yeah, but it's probably, I guess I couldn't really say why. I'm fairly certain that he's at least listed, but it also, in the other towns, it lists previous things that happened. So I guess maybe it's just like charting the history of our time here. But anyhow, so he's probably not going to, maybe he'll run into Ace somewhere outside of Alabasta, because if he's left Alabasta, maybe...
Why do we want Buggy to meet with Ace?
Well, we're looking. There's a new cover story coming. Buggy and Alvida are MIA.
Are you saying your prediction is in the next cover story, Ace will meet Buggy? And that if this does happen, every viewer needs to send you $5 on PayPal? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, as long as there's absolutely no downside for me, I'm down with that. I think
that's fair.
Yeah. I think that would be...
That's a fucking good prediction if that happens. Like, geez, that's pretty good.
That's
just
right.
two random characters meet up.
But that's just how I feel. They're MIA. We haven't heard from them. They should be on their way. But they might have ran into something. How would we know that they ran into something? Well, we're also going to be having a new cover story starting, as far as I could tell. So, they might be that we know that they know how to handle a cover story already. We've seen them there before. So I think you might as well go for what you know, get them back in there if they're not going to be here in Alabasta to be a part of the Crocodile v. Straw Hats conflict, which I would highly doubt that they would be.
And what do you think the crew that is taking off on the crab and leaving Luffy behind, what are they going to get up to in the next volume in regards of trying to stop these coming rebel armies and such?
Well, Vivi, I'm assuming is going to try to employ some diplomacy. If I had to guess, I'm going to say that they're going to reach the heads, the head forces of each side before there is bloodshed. And I think maybe if not, there would maybe just be a very minimal, like one or two very gung-ho people on either side that might, attack each other. And so there might be some bloodshed. I don't know about casualties, but maybe some bloodshed. And I don't know I guess it wouldn't really work for the transponder snail. I don't think that I had previously considered as being a part of like, a wiretap of like something being admitted, because if they're having conflict over there, they're probably not going to have a clear, oh, by the way, yes, my name is Sir Crocodile and I did it all, haha. And she's like over there with the transponder snail, like, oh. So I'm guessing somewhere along, like
every shitty movie where the bad guy gives a speech about what he did, and then Malcolm in the Middle is secretly filming him, or Coco is secretly filming him, or every other kid's movie when this happens.
Or alternatively, I could see if Luffy is incapacitated in some way in their fight, if it's a bit overwhelming for him to take on both Crocodile and Miss All Sunday together, incapacitate him, maybe try to push on. We have seen this before. Once again, a parallel to Syrup Village where Luffy's hypnotized, knocked out, and they have to kind of work around him until they can kind of get him going. It wouldn't be the first time. So maybe they get there, maybe then he could say something like, oh, well, it doesn't matter now because I don't know. I guess that would make sense if they got both armies there and they turn their attention on him. Maybe he could try to, okay. Yeah, this one's kind of fizzling out a little more than my previous.
And like, where's the king? Image. Like the real King Cobra just seemingly disappeared, and then that's when we see the fake one show up. Where did the real one go? Do we know?
Well, I guess Bon Clay, he can only transform into people that he's seen, so...
Well, that he's touched, but he became the king on their ship at the beginning of the arc, so he already touched him a long time ago.
Well, in the 167, he kind of sounds like he's ready to roll over, and, whatever's good for the people, he's ready to just submit to the will of the people, so maybe he's... just like an orange man who was once president when he said, like, I'm in the bunker or whatever, maybe King Cobra's in the bunker.
Okay. I mean, I think his, like, main top guards were freaking out, like, oh, the king's gone. That's not good.
Yeah, Chaka. Well, because Pell, I don't think he...
he's off getting his ass beat by Vivi, or by Miss All Sunday.
Miss All Sunday. Yeah, maybe actually that'd be pretty cool to have Pell and Chaka come in for like maybe they could assist Luffy in some capacity. Okay, maybe there's something there, like they're off. Oh, we need to employ diplomacy, try to stop this. All of a sudden they show up, and then maybe and they're in the middle of the fight, and all of a sudden King Cobra pops up. And he's like, this is Crocodile really is like this. Well, we have to defeat him, and and then we can go and speak to the people, and then maybe that's what happens. They defeat him, and then, Vivi's just within the split second of whatever, and maybe Crocodile is incapacitated in some way. They defeated them, and Crocodile was, he pretended and broke works, and I don't know how they could get this message out that it's going to be taken by everybody without them just wanting to still kill each other, and be able to defuse it so quickly, but... Just a couple inclinations. I don't know if I really have anything super concrete in my predictions, but a couple little directions I could see it kind of going towards there, but then kind of stumping me over, as far as definitive reasons and definitive conclusions.
I think to end it, I will just say that if not for the way we're formatting this podcast with one volume per week, I don't know if anything could have stopped me from continuing reading. Like, that's the most hype shit ever. He's about to fight the final boss and the sidekick to the final boss. I need to read this right the fuck now. And we've had to wait, several days since reading. So, we can't record the next one soon enough. We do have Christmas coming up, in the next 2 days. So, who knows when we'll record it, but maybe sooner than later. Who could say, Iggy?
Yep, so I'll be back here same time tomorrow.
We might have to be. And yeah, hopefully we'll get through Alabasta sooner than later, and then smooth sailing on to the next island. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, I guess I don't know when this will be up for the members, but
This will be the first episode of 2025 for the public, and this will go up for the members right now.
All right, well, to the members, I will be going live on Christmas. Rumble.com/c/Eggy White. We just had our 1,000 follower Rumble celebration, which I've been told is the equivalent of 100,000 YouTube followers because Rumble is kind of a slow burn.
Yeah,
but
you're probably in the top like 5% of most subscribed on there, aren't you?
Yeah, might be.
Gotta be.
I get when we go live, I'm always at least in like the top 10, like for viewers. So
yeah, you
my
might be in the top
category
1% at that rate. Like I'm on there. I think I have like 5 followers.
So we've been really etching it out, really carving our plans over there, and there's more to come. Christmas, and we'll actually. I don't know if you have any plans for New Year's. If you're interested in doing any New Year's Eve-esque content, or if you just want to have a party or whatever. But
if I'm in the mood, I might do a New Year's stream. But I don't like to promise something and then future me has to suffer because I don't want to do it at the time. But I've been thinking about it.
I may be doing a New Year's Eve Rumble stream, depending. So
and we can call and do each other's streams, I assume, for a little bit of what do they call that? 2 people streaming together? Is that like a special Zoomer term?
Duos. That's what Fortnite is, right? When you have 2 guys on a team, it's
what's
duos,
it called on TikTok when or like going head to head?
Duet, Stitch, duet. I don't know.
Should we do a duet? A New Year's duet. Tune in on New Year's if you're a member. Or go watch the VOD if you're not. That's it for One Piece.
I always thought it would be so simple, but no.
We are graduating to the 20s. Huh? How about that? We've done 20 of these, Aggie. Coming up.
I don't know if there's been anything in life, including employment, that I've ever been committed to for a period of 20 weeks. So let's give ourselves a pat on the back.
Only about 100 volumes to go, so can't wait.
I mean, when you put it like that, yeah, I mean, it's going.
See you, folks.